You may think you know Sam Elliott, but think again. Because behind that rugged cowboy exterior and deep voice lies a life full of untold struggles, surprising twists, and controversial moments that never made it to the spotlight. He's a living legend, the kind of actor whose career spanned decades and whose image is forever tied to the rugged, no-nonsense characters he portrayed. But what if everything you thought you knew about him was just the surface? Behind the man we know as the eternal cowboy lies a past filled with struggles, personal battles, and decisions that shook his career to its core. And at 80, he's currently dealing with new heartbreaking challenges that fans do not know about. When you discover how this Hollywood legend is currently living, it might just change the way you think about him forever. Elliot's early struggles and rise to fame. Sam Elliott isn't just an actor, he's a Hollywood legend. The moment he steps on screen, he owns it completely. For decades, he's played cowboys, heroes, and strong, silent types. But most people don't know that the real story behind Sam Elliott is nothing like the roles he made famous. His life was harder, messier, and full of moments that could have ended everything before it even began. Born on August 9, 1944, in Sacramento, California, Sam grew up during a time when America was changing fast. His father, Henry Nelson Elliott, worked for the Department of the Interior, and his mother, Glenn Mamie Sparks, was a high school teacher and physical education instructor. She loved the arts and encouraged Sam's creative side. But his father wasn't a fan of the arts. He was strict, grounded in practicality, and didn't believe in what he called Hollywood dreams. He thought acting was a waste of time. To him, it wasn't a job, it was a fantasy, and he didn't want his son chasing fairy tales. But Sam couldn't shake the feeling. From the time he was a teenager, he felt the pull of storytelling. The idea of becoming someone else on screen, of bringing characters to life, fascinated him. So, after the family moved to Portland, Oregon, Sam attended David Douglas High School, where he got involved in school plays and theater. That's where he really started to believe that acting wasn't just a hobby. It could be his future. However, that didn't mean the road would be easy. When Sam was just 18, he faced one of the hardest moments of his life. His father died suddenly of a heart attack. Sam was devastated, not just because he lost his dad, but because they'd never made peace. They had clashed over Sam's dreams, and now he would never get the chance to show his father that he could actually make it. That loss stayed with him. It drove him, and it haunted him. In an interview, he said, he died thinking, "Man, this kid is going to go down the wrong path." And I think on some levels, that was either hard on me or made me more focused in my resolve to have a career. Initially, after high school, Sam tried to follow his dad's advice. He enrolled at the University of Oregon and studied English and psychology. But something didn't feel right. He bounced around schools, eventually leaving the University of Oregon to return home and attend Clark College in Vancouver, Washington. It was there that he really threw himself into acting again. His performance in a stage production of Guys and Dolls caught the attention of local critics, who kept pointing out that he could make it as a professional actor. That was the push he needed. And so, Sam packed up his car, scraped together what little money he had, and moved to Los Angeles. He didn't have a job lined up or a place to stay for long. But he had a dream and a stubborn heart. Hollywood, though, didn't care about dreams, because when Sam got to Los Angeles, he found himself just one face in a sea of struggling actors. Everyone had headshots, everyone had ambition, but not everyone had rent money. Sam took any job he could find, including construction work, house painting, and even working behind the scenes at film studios doing manual labor. Sometimes he was a glorified extra, standing in the background with no lines. Other times, he got lucky with a one-liner or a few seconds of screen time. But one thing that set him apart, even back then, was his voice. His deep, smoky baritone became his trademark. But in the early days, casting directors weren't sure what to do with him. He wasn't clean-cut like the leading men of the 60s, and he wasn't flashy or loud. He was quiet, slow-talking, and intense. In an era of polished charm, Sam was rough around the edges, and sadly, that worked against him for a while, till he discovered Westerns. If there was ever a genre built for Sam Elliott, it was the American Western, the desert landscapes, the slow-burn drama, and the men of few words and steady hands fit him perfectly. In 1969, he landed a small role in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and that was the beginning of greater things to come. Throughout the 1970s, Sam kept grinding. He showed up for auditions, took roles in TV westerns, and slowly started to build a reputation. People noticed his presence, and he didn't have to say much to dominate a scene because he had that rare magnetism that couldn't be taught. But it wasn't until the 1980s that things really started to change. In 1976, he played the lead in the TV movie Lifeguard, and this role finally gave him a little recognition outside the Western world. He was older than most leading men by then, but that maturity worked in his favor. However, Sam still struggled to find consistent work. He wasn't the kind of actor you saw in tabloids. He didn't chase the spotlight. He wanted good roles, not just any roles. And sometimes, that meant going months without work. By the time the late 80s rolled around, Sam finally started to find his groove. He starred in iconic movies that helped solidify his place as a reliable supporting actor with a commanding presence. And through it all, Sam never changed. He still spoke in that slow, thoughtful way. He still carried himself like a man who didn't need to prove anything. But behind that calm exterior was a man who had scraped for every inch of success. He never forgot the auditions that went nowhere, the casting directors who said he'd never make it, the nights he went to sleep hungry, the voiceovers he took just to keep the lights on, and the grief of losing his father before he became successful. But for all the battles he fought, on-screen and off-screen, it was one unexpected connection on a film set that would change everything. Sam Elliott had spent years trying to find his place in Hollywood. What he didn't realize was that, in the middle of all that struggle, he was about to find something even rarer than fame. Someone who truly saw him. Sam's love life and marriage. Hollywood relationships are often short-lived. They burn fast and fade just as quickly. But Sam Elliott's marriage is one of the rare exceptions. His is a love story that quietly stood the test of time, hidden in plain sight. And it all started on a film set, years before anyone even noticed. It was 1969 when Sam got his first break, a small role as card player number 2 in the legendary film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The role was minor, almost forgettable, but something unforgettable happened during that shoot. He laid eyes on a woman named Catherine Ross. At the time, Catherine was already a star. She had just come off a career-defining performance as Elaine Robinson in The Graduate, opposite Dustin Hoffman. She was elegant, poised, and completely in her element. Sam, on the other hand, was totally unknown. He was just a guy trying to break into the industry. And although they didn't really speak on set, he admired her from afar, convinced she was way out of his league. In an interview, he said, "I didn't dare try to talk to her then. She was the leading lady. I was a shadow on the wall, a glorified extra in a bar scene." Years passed, and then, in 1978, fate gave Sam a second shot. They were both cast in the British horror film The Legacy. But this time, they weren't just sharing a movie. They were sharing the screen as leads. Sam was older now, more confident, and no longer just a background player. And Catherine was drawn to his grounded energy, that quiet strength that so many fans would come to admire. During the filming, something clicked between them. They got to know each other through long conversations and quiet dinners away from the spotlight. And by the early 1980s, their relationship was solid. It wasn't just about chemistry, it was about resilience. Sam had always been private. Catherine, too. Both had seen the darker side of fame. and both wanted something real. In 1984, they got married in a small private ceremony. It was Catherine's fifth marriage, but Sam's first, and not long after, they welcomed their daughter, Cleo Rose Elliott, into the world. Becoming a father changed Sam in ways even he didn't expect. Suddenly, the grind of Hollywood seemed less urgent. Fame became even less important. What mattered most was being present for Catherine, for Cleo, and for himself. They settled down in Malibu, far from the buzz of Hollywood Hills, in a home filled with books, music, and the kind of peace most stars never find. Sam worked with his hands, maintained the property himself, and rode horses when he could. And Catherine supported him without ever demanding the spotlight. Behind closed doors, their bond was deep. They were partners in every sense. When Sam faced long dry spells between roles, Catherine stood by him. When he doubted himself, she reminded him who he was. And when the pressure of fame crept in, as it always does, she helped him stay grounded. It wasn't always easy. No marriage is. There were disagreements, growing pains, and moments where careers pulled them in different directions. But they never let it divide them. Sam has often said that Catherine was the steady hand that helped him navigate the chaos of show business. She was his home when everything else felt temporary. And in a way, their relationship shaped the way Sam approached Hollywood. He didn't take roles just for the money. He didn't chase trends. He took work that meant something to him, and only when it didn't pull him too far from family. He turned down opportunities that would have demanded too much of his time or pulled him into the spotlight he'd spent years trying to avoid. In interviews, Sam often credits his wife for the balance in his life. He says their marriage gave him a reason to slow down, to make thoughtful choices, and to find joy outside of fame. That's why he could disappear from the public eye for months, even years, and still come back strong. While the tabloids chased the messy drama of celebrity divorces, Sam and Catherine have built a life that most stars could only dream of. Quiet, solid, and filled with mutual respect that has lasted decades. Even their daughter Cleo, though she chose a different path in music, was raised with that same sense of grounded independence. She didn't grow up in front of flashing cameras. She grew up in a house where hard work was valued more than headlines. But no love story, no matter how strong, is completely untouched by time. As Sam entered his later years, the emotional weight of life began to settle in, and Catherine, through it all, remained his anchor. Still, not everything in Sam's life remained picture perfect. There were moments that didn't make the family albums, decisions that raised eyebrows, comments that caused a stir. For a man who built his image on silence and strength, the last few years brought some noise Sam Elliott never expected, and it came from the very people who once admired him most. Sam's controversies and scandals. In recent years, Sam has found himself in the spotlight, but it wasn't a movie role that put him there. It was his own words that stirred controversy and sparked debates. In early 2022, Sam appeared on Mark Maron's podcast, and during the interview, he was asked about the film The Power of the Dog, directed by Jane Campion. The movie, set in the 1920s in Montana, explores themes of masculinity, repression, and identity. Sam didn't hold back his opinions. He called the film trash and criticized its portrayal of cowboys, saying they looked like Chippendale dancers, referencing the male strip troupe known for wearing bow ties and little else. He was particularly upset about the film's allusions to the queer community and questioned why a New Zealand director was making a movie about the American West. His comments quickly went viral. Many people were shocked by his harsh words. Jane Campion responded by calling Sam old-fashioned and pointed out that many classic westerns weren't shot in the American West either. Benedict Cumberbatch, who starred in the film, also addressed the criticism, emphasizing the importance of exploring different aspects of masculinity and identity in storytelling. The backlash was swift and widespread. Upon realizing the impact of his words, Sam issued a public apology a few weeks later. He admitted that he wasn't articulate during the podcast and that his comments were hurtful, especially to the queer community. He expressed regret for offending the film's cast and crew and acknowledged the significant contributions of the queer community to his career. He said, "I said some things that hurt people, and I feel terrible about that. I want to apologize to the cast of The Power of the Dog, brilliant actors all, and in particular, Benedict Cumberbatch. I can only say that I'm sorry, and I am." Although his apology was sincere and heartfelt, the incident left a mark on his reputation. But Sam's criticism of The Power of the Dog wasn't just about that film. It reflected his broader views on modern filmmaking. He has often expressed a preference for traditional storytelling and has been vocal about his discomfort with how some contemporary films reinterpret classic genres. He believes that the essence of the American West is being lost in modern portrayals, and he feels a responsibility to preserve the authenticity of the cowboy image. And while some appreciate his dedication to tradition, others see his views as resistant to change and lacking inclusivity. Sam Elliott has always been a symbol of Americana. His roles often portray the individualism and resilience associated with the American spirit. However, his personal views on patriotism and politics have occasionally led to debates. While he tends to keep his political opinions private, his portrayal of characters who uphold traditional American values has led some to associate him with conservative ideals. Despite these controversies, Sam remains a respected figure in Hollywood, and his willingness to apologize and engage in dialogue shows a capacity for growth and reflection. But as the dust settled from these public storms, Sam has faced challenges that were even more personal and profound, the kind that don't make headlines but leave lasting scars. There were battles that tested his strength in ways no role ever could. Challenges in later years. Sam Elliott is known for his deep voice, rugged charm, and presence that commands attention even in his later years. But while his career and marriage have been long and steady, the passage of time has inevitably brought new struggles. As the years went on, the man who once embodied strength and resilience on screen began to face challenges that were far more personal. He's had to deal with challenges that don't fit neatly into the Hollywood narrative of ageless icons. For someone who spent years playing tough, grizzled characters, the physical demands of Sam Elliott's career were often underestimated. His roles as rugged cowboys and soldiers required a certain level of athleticism, often involving horseback riding, fighting scenes, and long days on set in harsh conditions. But behind the scenes, the years of physical exertion have begun to catch up with him. In interviews, Sam has admitted that his body began to feel the wear and tear of a career built on physical labor. The back pain, the stiff joints, the lingering aches from long hours on horseback. As he aged, those aches turned into something more persistent, something that couldn't be ignored. In his late 60s, Sam was forced to reconsider how much longer he could physically keep up with the demands of his roles. While many actors experience this sort of gradual physical decline, Sam's situation was different. His characters often embodied the very essence of strength, so when he faced his own physical limitations, it was a difficult thing to come to terms with. He had spent a lifetime embodying characters who were invincible in spirit, and now, in his personal life, he was learning the hard way that even the strongest bodies had their limits. For someone as self-reliant and private as Sam, seeking help or slowing down didn't come easily. He was used to pushing through pain and enduring tough conditions on set. But as his body aged, the choice to keep going, whether through physical therapy, medical treatment, or even simply taking a break, was no longer optional. He just had to adapt, something that went against his nature. As with many celebrities, the public's interest in Sam's well-being has grown over time, and so many health rumors have begun circulating. However, his health has never been a topic he likes to discuss openly. Sam Elliott is never one to bask in the spotlight for personal matters, and his struggles with his health weren't something he was eager to share with the world. A few years ago, a rumor about his declining health sparked concern. The actor was reported to have been seen looking thinner than usual, and fans worried that he might be facing serious health issues. Some speculated that the actor was battling cancer, while others linked his weight loss to stress or personal issues. These rumors just proved how extremely curious the public can be when it comes to celebrity gossip and the way the industry often twists the truth into something sensational. Sam Elliott, as private as he was, never gave much credence to the rumors. When asked about his health in interviews, he usually downplayed the concerns, saying he was fine and that he simply wasn't one to worry about the things other people found newsworthy. But this didn't help the whispers, because, in truth, it wasn't just health rumors that affected him, it was also the constant spotlight on his aging body. In Hollywood, the passage of time is often more visible than in other professions. Actors, especially those who have spent decades in the public eye, are constantly judged by their appearance. For Sam, a man whose career was built on his imposing physical presence, that became a difficult challenge. His silver hair and aged face, once symbols of his mature masculinity, were now seen by some as a sign of decline. Sam has remained largely unbothered by the shifting beauty standards in Hollywood and has never aspired to be anything other than himself. But the realities of growing older in an industry obsessed with youth were impossible to ignore. For years, Sam Elliott was a fixture of the Western genre. However, unfortunately, the Western genre had all but disappeared from mainstream cinema by the time he entered his later years. The shift in Hollywood toward superhero films, sequels, and blockbusters that favored youth and new talent left Sam struggling to find his place. While many of his contemporaries had long since adapted to the changing tides of Hollywood by shifting into roles in TV shows or major franchises, Sam stuck to what he knew best, and he found it hard to connect with the newer, faster pace of modern filmmaking and the focus on instant gratification over slow-burn storytelling. Sam's discomfort with the rapid changes in Hollywood became more apparent as the years passed, where once he could walk onto a set and feel at home, he began to feel like an outsider in a world that was increasingly less interested in the kind of films he had made a name in. Sam was part of a generation of actors who had been raised on character-driven films with stories that were about more than just spectacle, but about substance. Unfortunately, this has led to fewer roles, and Sam has found himself turning down offers that didn't align with his values. Perhaps the most difficult aspect of aging for Sam Elliott is being constantly reminded of it in the public eye. While many stars in their 70s are allowed to fade into the background and quietly enjoy their later years, Sam's fame, coupled with his undeniable presence, keeps the public eye on him constantly. But that's not all. As Sam has entered his later years, the pressure of his legacy has begun to weigh on him. He had built an iconic career, and as the years went by, there was always a question of how to preserve that legacy. Would he be remembered as the cowboy who stood tall for traditional masculinity? Or would the younger generations rewrite that narrative? Yet, even as Sam Elliott faces the quiet challenges of his later years, there are still moments that remind us of the cowboy's indomitable spirit. As the years pile on, he's finding new battles to fight, ones that have nothing to do with the movies or the spotlight, but everything to do with his own legacy, his family, and his place in the world. Sam Elliott's retirement? As Sam Elliott enters the later stages of his life, one thing is crystal clear: his legacy in Hollywood is undeniable. While many actors rise to fame quickly, only a few manage to carve out a lasting impact, creating an identity that transcends the roles they play. Sam is one of those rare actors whose contributions to cinema are felt far beyond the screen. Over the years, he's become a Hollywood legend and an American hero. He's the cowboy, the veteran, the man of few words but great strength. His deep voice, weathered face, and towering presence remain iconic to this day. But it's not just his physical attributes that have shaped his legacy. It's the authenticity he brought to every role he played. Whether he was a tough rancher, a grizzled soldier, or a weary lawman, Sam's characters always felt real, lived in, and deeply human. His ability to portray strength without arrogance and vulnerability without weakness made him a one-of-a-kind actor in Hollywood. Sam's legacy is built on the way he showed a certain kind of man that's tough on the outside but thoughtful and kind underneath. His roles were often strong and quiet, but not over the top like many Hollywood tough guys. In a world where movies often show men as loud and aggressive, Sam's characters felt more real. They were honest, steady, and not afraid to show their softer side. He gave us men who felt human, not just macho heroes. In many ways, Sam Elliott helped redefine what it meant to be a man on screen. He wasn't the flashy hero or the bombastic action star. Instead, he brought depth to every role. And this has left a lasting mark on how masculinity is portrayed in film. What makes Sam's legacy even more special is how he always stayed true to himself. In a place like Hollywood, where people often change to stay popular, Sam didn't. He didn't take roles just to stay in the spotlight. If something didn't feel right to him, he said no. He wasn't chasing fame. He just wanted to do honest work. And that realness is what made people love him. Unlike many stars who are more focused on staying in the spotlight, Sam focused on doing the work. He didn't need a blockbuster franchise to validate his career. He proved time and time again that great roles and lasting impact come from doing the work with passion and heart. While Sam Elliott may not have been the biggest box office draw, his influence on Hollywood and future generations of actors is undeniable. His distinctive voice and charismatic screen presence have inspired countless young actors to embrace authenticity and restraint in their performances. For many, Sam is the epitome of how to age gracefully in an industry that often leaves its older stars behind. His ability to remain relevant, even as the industry evolves, serves as a beacon of hope for younger actors who aspire to make a lasting impact in a similar manner. As he moves into his 80s, Sam Elliott's legacy is more secure than ever. His quiet wisdom, his dedication to his craft, and his refusal to compromise on his principles have made him a beloved figure, both in Hollywood and among his fans. While his career may have slowed down in recent years, Sam Elliott's impact on Hollywood will never fade. His roles, his voice, and his unwavering presence in the world of film have left an indelible mark on the industry. The cowboy may be aging, but his legacy will live on for generations to come. What's your favorite Sam Elliott role? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of Hollywood legends.